The Japanese are great at many things: building cars, drawing waifus, and selling toys through anime. Don't get me wrong, cartoons made to sell toys are nothing new here in the West, but there's one big difference. With Western shows, characters and vehicles were usually the things being turned into toys. In Japan, shows like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Bakugan had characters interacting with the toys themselves. The merchandise was a part of the show's universe. And a perfect example of this were the little spinning tops known as Beyblade. Beyblades spun forever, they listened to your commands and had ancient monsters inside willing to do battle for you. And then there was the anime lore itself. Unlike Pokemon, which took place in a fictional region, Beyblade was set in the real world. The characters started in Japan before going on a worldwide tour spanning Asia, Europe, and America. It was almost like a strange alternate universe where the whole world revolved around spinning tops. They weren't just a sports league with enough money to build giant arenas suspended from mountains. Governments used them to solve geopolitical issues, terrorists tried to steal them, and ancient cultures worshipped them. Beyblades were simultaneously the world's biggest sport and the most powerful, dangerous weapon. It was like playing football with a nuclear bomb. I mean, shit, how could an 11-year-old not want a Beyblade after all of that? A whole generation of kids rushed to buy the spinning tops, but we quickly discovered the anime maybe oversold things a little. In the anime, the blades spun for hours. In reality, I don't know, maybe like 30 seconds if you were lucky. In the anime, the Beyblade battles looked like this.
These two guys won't be happy until they blast us all into orbit.
In reality, they just kind of spun around each other. In the anime, the blades listen to your command.
Go Dragon! Go Dancer!
In reality, they just spin out half the time. But none of that really mattered, so what if the anime lied to us? None of us really expected a plastic spinning top made in Taiwan to have a monster inside it that would listen to your every command, except for my friend Floyd, who'd shout at his Beyblade every time he launched it. And it wasn't just Beyblades either. One time Floyd tried to summon Dark Magician to fight the class bully for him. That's a story for another video. But anyway, for the rest of us, the toughest question of 2002 was which Beyblade to get. Dragoon, Dronza, Drigger, Drasil. Hey, what's with all the D's? And of course, everybody had that one rich friend who had every single Beyblade, plus all the accessories like the official stadium or the variety of custom launchers. Of course, I asked my mum for a stadium, but I was quickly reminded of our family motto, so I had to use my imagination. And suddenly, everything became a Beyblade Arena. Frying pans, sinks, my great-grandmother's family heirloom vase. Schools quickly banned Beyblades the same way they banned Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh cards a few years before, but as everyone knows, the second you ban something, it just makes it way more popular. So naturally, my school had an underground Beyblade ring. It was just like Fight Club, except with spinning tops. Even some of the older kids were into it. Beyblade was the great equalizer. Of course, some adults would complain that the tops were dangerous, but that was a load of rubbish. In fact, I don't think they were dangerous enough. I mean, the anime made these things seem indestructible. I always wanted to see how durable they really were in real life, but I was always too scared to break my Beyblade. But now, thanks to being a wage slave, I have disposable income, so I can satisfy my childhood curiosity. So as you can see here, we have an assortment of weapons. Let's start with the hammer. Oh, look at that, that's pretty good. It's obviously not spinning anymore, but it's still in one piece. Next up, we have the machete. Oh, okay, how about the crowbar? Oh, no, it's still in one piece. Let's just also drop a kettlebell on it, for good measure. Oh wow, look, it's still in one piece. And after all of that, it actually still spins and wins. So what do you know? Maybe the anime was right. These things really are indestructible. Move over 3310. And speaking of which, I'm probably gonna make a whole separate video about the anime and its crazy escalation of stakes. I mean, it goes from kids playing with spinning tops in their granddad's back garden to the Russian government trying to take over the world.
By defeating those who oppose us, people will believe we can change the world, and we will, to how we want it to be.
But for the time being, I'll just say this. For a show made to sell spinning tops, it wasn't half bad. It had a lot of the usual shonen tropes, like the hero, the rival, the ever-escalating power levels, a lot of screaming, and battles that lasted way too long. Oh, and the soundtrack was comprised of catchy pop-punk songs with lyrics that were subliminally trying to sell you Beyblades.
Round after round we keep on winning. We're taking them out with the Beyblade spinning. On and on, there's just no quitting. Beyblade story just keeps on ripping.
But despite all of that, the show was pretty good. It had a decent story, every major character had an arc, and it explored positive themes like friendship, redemption, hard work, and good sportsmanship. We were all devastated when Kai turned against the Blade Breakers, and were overjoyed when he came back, even if it was only like, 3 episodes later. Of course, the show went on to have other seasons, and the Beyblade toys are still being made to this day with all sorts of new gimmicks, but to me, that first set of spinning tops will always be special. They will always remind me of a special time in the early 21st century when a huge multinational company found a way to rebrand a centuries-old toy through cartoons and catchy pop songs with subliminal lyrics.